One another way of how you can use voter list for winning your election is that you try to get the duplicate voters in your constituency and neighboring constituency. You find out the duplicate voters, and then you go to election commission and go get those names stuck out of the electoral roll. Even in local body election, not just in MLA election, but even in local body election, this duplicate voter exercise is very important, because, and rather it's much more important, much more critical in smaller elections, in local body elections, because in local body the vote margin, the difference of vote margin is even lesser, like probably 500 votes or maybe 300, 400. Like, it's very narrow, very tough fights. So now how do you do this? Okay, so one prevalent way how the candidates are doing it is that generally these voters, these duplicate voters, they are the ones who have multiple voter ID cards, and usually in the same, they are in the same district. So one way of finding it out is that suppose at one constituency where you are contesting, so you take the data, voter data of neighboring constituencies, and you do this, let's say for one assembly constituency there are 6-7 assembly constituencies which are surrounding it, or probably the whole district. Okay, so in that whole district you do this voter mapping exercise, duplicate voter identification exercise, which is usually like same voter name, father name will be more or less same in the two records, and the age will be like 2-3 years plus minus. So some voter whose name is Rohit and whose father's name is Amit, and the age is 42 in one place, so the same voter will have the name as Rohit, where probably ROHEET might be the spelling, and Amit might be the father name, and age might be 45. So earlier it was 42, now it's 45 in the two places. So like, this is one way where we see that the age gap is generally 4 to 5 years range. This is one way of finding out duplicate voters which candidates are using. There could be other ways also. You can also let me know if you are also doing this duplicate voter mapping exercise and how you are doing it. This is one way which I am sharing with you. Earlier, photo rolls, or probably towards the end of the election, or as candidate from election commission, you get photo rolls also, photo electoral rolls from the ECI office. But there the challenge is that, like, you cannot do the duplicate voter identification exercise using that, because you will get the photo roll only for your particular constituency, and you will not get it for all the nearby constituencies or your entire district. So just by having one set of your constituency, you cannot do duplicate voter mapping exercise. How will you do that? I mean, in your constituency, that voter will be once only. So only by having voter data of the entire district or of the nearby neighboring constituencies, you can do this exercise. Now, you might think that this is it important? You might be having question is, suppose in a constituency you get around 200 to 300, 250, or probably 100, between 100 and 200 duplicate voters in 2.5 lakh kind of population, or probably 3 lakh total voters, just 100, 150, 200. Now you might be having this question that, is it an important exercise? Should I go for it or should I leave it? Because it's time consuming, it's money consuming, and is it worth it? Like, are these 100 votes, is it worth it? So the answer to this is yes, absolutely, these are very much worth it. Why? Because these, in elections, usually today the elections are very close contest, and each vote is very, very, very important. And more than 50% seats are decided between in less than 5,000 vote difference. So 100 votes, 150, 200 votes are very, very crucial. You cannot ignore them, and these are the votes which, if you get them struck off the electoral roll, if they are not your voters, you will get 2 vote margin. One, that vote is not casted in the opponent's favor, because if you get it out of the electoral roll, suppose the voter is for the opponent, so the opponent will get 1 vote less, number one. Number two, you will also ensure that this voter is struck off from your constituency. So one, the vote is not casted, and second, it's struck off. So in whole, you are getting 2 vote margin, like a difference of 2 votes. I hope I am able to make sense. Very critical exercise. I cannot emphasize more on it, because the candidates, this is something which I am not sharing out of my experience, but I am just bringing out to you based on the different candidates' feedbacks which I have been gathering from them, like during the course of my interaction, on how they are using the voter list for their election campaigns in their favor. So this was one prominent thing. You should very much, it's very much highly recommended